Yes.
You mentioned Edith on All in the Family.
Yeah.
She can kind of fit into that role too, but she was
Right.
always trying to, make it, easy for Archie and clean up his mess.
Yes,
and
yes.
stuff like that too. So,
Yeah, so you're thinking those characters, are Aunt Bee and Edith, are more codependent rather than dependent? Or do you think there's some combination, or what do you think?
I would say a combination.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
there was nothing that I guess Aunt Bee was really having to clean up per se or cover
Right.
for, but she kind of needed to be needed.
Right, right. Codependency, we were talking about professions and what do people get into when they have codependent traits. One of the things I thought was kind of interesting is just working around in the medical profession. I think nursing sometimes, a lot of nurses or nurses' aides or folks that really care a lot about their common man, and these are awesome. These people are awesome. And without them, we'd be in a serious world of hurt. But some of them burn out because they constantly are caring for the other, for their patients and such, and to the extent where they just burn out. They can't do it anymore, emotionally or physically or whatever way. So that's kind of sad, but there are a lot of them that have just enough codependent traits, but that they enjoy doing what they do, but they're also able to set a limit and say, okay, I'm giving you this much of myself, but this is all I can give, and this is it. So, yeah, that's another example of a profession maybe that draws, and it's not just nursing, I'm sure, but I did see a lot of that. A lot of folks that worked in nursing homes and things. Any other questions about dependency or codependency before we go into the last one of these personality disorders? No other questions? All right. Obsessive compulsive personality disorder. Right off the bat, I got to tell you, it's different than obsessive compulsive disorder. Remember, there's a P in there, obsessive compulsive personality disorder, and it actually is different. It's not the same as OCD. OCD, if you remember from a couple of months back, obsessive compulsive disorder is where you get these thoughts in your head, and I'll tell you, here's a classic example of this one, of OCD, that I saw since the last talk. Has anybody seen The Aviator with Leonardo DiCaprio about Howard Hughes? Man, what a classic. I mean, that guy was classic, and he did a great job portraying him in that movie. But he had serious OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. If you notice in that movie, for those of you that saw it, he would be sort of distracted. I mean, everybody thought he couldn't hear, and I don't know what you guys' thoughts are on that, but I don't think it was that he couldn't hear. I think he was distracted by all these thoughts. If you notice in the movie, he'd constantly be looking at the like dirt and germs and worrying about contamination and stuff, And I think he was probably having a lot of intrusive thoughts about things. And then he would start to have compulsions, like he would say things over and over again. Remember that? He couldn't, certain things, it would be like a broken record, and then some of his co-workers or whatever, the people that worked for him, had to haul him off and get him into another room and stuff. And then at one point he locked himself up in his theater, his home theater in his room. And he wouldn't touch anything without using Kleenex first, and he just was just a mess. The poor guy. I feel bad for this guy. I don't know. The story sort of ends, and you don't really know what happens to the guy. So I don't know what happened to Howard Hughes, but I don't know if anybody knows, but I don't know if he ever got treatment. It's kind of sad. But that's obsessive compulsive disorder. So these are thoughts that pop into your head you absolutely can't control, and they're very difficult to control. And they're thoughts of things that really upset you, so that you touch a door handle and your hands are contaminated and you're going to die from that. So you have to wash your hands over and over compulsively to prevent yourself from dying. This is different, obsessive compulsive personality disorder. Do you remember the show Friends? With Ross and Chandler and Monica. Monica was I think, the character anyway, had obsessive compulsive personality. So she wanted everything a certain way. She was very perfectionistic, right? Everything had to be just so. And if anybody messed with everything, any of her stuff, she'd get upset about it, So these folks are preoccupied with orderliness, with perfection, and control, okay? They pay a lot of attention to rules, trivial little details of things, lists, schedules, procedures, and sometimes they do so much of that they kind of lose track of what they're doing, what the ultimate goal is, because they're so lost in all the details of everything. They repeat things over and over again in detail, checking for any kind of possible mistake. I mean, over and over they'll do that. they may be so intent on making every detail again that they don't get the project, whatever they're working on, never gets finished. Deadlines are missed and things like that. They kind of really get off on a lot of work. I mean, they want to work all the time, want to be busy all the time, productive, and as a matter of fact, they sort of feel that it's not okay, or that they don't have time to take any time off, to take any kind of to relax at all, take any leisure time at all. And so, because of that, friendships, relationships can suffer. And this is where this disorder kind of gets in the way of relationships. Another way that it does is that for everything has to be perfect, but perfect means they're perfect. I mean, the way they think of things as being perfect. So they have to do things their way, or it's not done right. So they're not real good at delegating things to other people. And if they do delegate something to someone else, they're going to make a huge list of detailed instructions about exactly how they want it done for it to be done right. And chances are whoever tries to do it isn't going to do it right, and then they're going to get upset, and then again, this interferes with a lot of relationships. They're very strict and inflexible morally, so morally or ethically, I guess they're real. Again, they're by the book kind of folks. Very critical of their own mistakes. If they make mistakes, they get, which we all do, they get all upset about it. I thought this was kind of interesting. They don't want to get rid of old or worn out things. They'll kind of hold on to things because you never know when you might need that. I sort of related to that one a little bit. I don't know about any rest of you, but the other thing that's interesting is they're very miserly or stingy with their money, very tight. And it's not because they don't have any money. Matter of fact, they sort of live under their means. They live way below what they could live at because they're always saving their money for some future financial crisis or catastrophe or something. They're always worried something bad's going to happen, and so they want to stash it all away, and hold on to it. They're kind of stubborn, kind of rigid, plan ahead. Everything's planned way ahead, with a lot of detail, meticulous detail about things. Have trouble prioritizing which tasks, which things should I do first, second, third. They kind of get lost in all that. Can't make those decisions very well. And then they get upset or angry when they can't control things as much as they would like. They're very logical. These are folks that are very logical. Everything's logical, has its reason, has its rationale. They're not real comfortable around folks that have a lot of emotions, that sort of wear their emotions on their sleeves. Most people that have this OCPD do not actually have OCD, the obsessive compulsive disorder. So it's a little bit confusing because they sound almost the same, but they're really not the same. Again, it says about 1%, but in a psychiatric clinic, about 3 to 10% of folks that go through a psychiatric clinic will have this. I guess, any questions about that one? Anybody ever meet anybody like that?
Yeah, my old lady.
Yeah.
You too?
I'm sure. You too?
It's just like the mowing the grass. Anything.
Yes.
Anything.
Yeah.
She says, I asked her where you want it, how high you want it, how low you want it. She's that picky.
Yeah.
She said, put it on 5 and stay alive. I mow it. I mow it, and it's still not good enough. I said, tell her she can mow.
That's right.
It's just every single. Our house, you can eat off the floor.
Yeah.
It's pathetic. It's pathetic.
Yeah. But this is how she's wired.
Yes.
So have some empathy. I would imagine there are times that she's aware of that, and it really bothers her, I think, that she's like that. So I would think that, again, if it's interfering with her function, which, you're in a relationship with her, you guys have to decide, but if it's interfering with, especially if it were to interfere with work or something else, then it could be a disorder. And if it is, it's not a bad idea to go and see somebody, learn about it a little bit. The interesting thing, and this is kind of getting into the treatment, for any of these personality disorders, from either last month that we talked about or today, like I said, there aren't any excellent medicines for this. You can't take a medicine and become somebody different, unfortunately. Or fortunately, I don't know. I guess we wouldn't really want to change all of ourselves. But some of the symptoms, like if you got a lot of anxiety from something, let's say the avoidant or social phobia thing, there are medicines that can help with the anxiety or with the mood swings. There are some medicines that will help, like if some of these personality disorders, I would describe the person as having a very short fuse, like a narcissistic person or an antisocial or borderline person. If you have a very short fuse, there are some medicines you can use to help with that, lengthen the fuse a little bit. Do you know what I mean by short fuse? Like just go off really fast about something, just boom,